London, 1983, a city bustling with life, yet harboring dark secrets. In the quiet streets of Muswell Hill, police uncover a horror beyond imagination. A soft-spoken man named Dennis Nilsen is about to go down in history as one of Britain's most notorious serial killers. But who was he? What led this seemingly unremarkable man to commit such unspeakable acts? And how did he hide his macabre secrets in plain sight for years? To understand the enigma of Dennis Nilsen, we must delve into his past, uncovering the moments and experiences that shaped his chilling trajectory. Dennis Andrew Nilsen was born on November 23, 1945, in the quiet fishing village of Fraserburgh, Scotland. The second of three children, Dennis's early years were marked by a sense of isolation and a deeply fragmented family dynamic. His father, Olav Magnus Moxheim, was a Norwegian soldier who had married his mother, Betty White, during World War II. The marriage was tumultuous from the beginning, plagued by infidelity and neglect. When Dennis was only 4 years old, his parents divorced, leaving his mother to raise the children on her own. Amidst the turmoil, Dennis found solace in the presence of his maternal grandfather, Andrew White, a stoic fisherman who became a father figure to him. Andrew's influence was profound, instilling in young Dennis a sense of stability and affection that was otherwise absent. But this bond was tragically cut short when Andrew passed away suddenly from a heart attack. Dennis was just 6 years old when he was introduced to the concept of death in the most personal way imaginable. He later recounted the haunting memory of viewing his grandfather's body laid out in the family home, his face serene yet lifeless. This event left an indelible mark on Dennis's psyche, sparking a fascination with mortality and a yearning to reconnect with those who had departed. It was this early brush with death that planted the seeds of the dark obsessions that would define his adult life. As Dennis grew older, his sense of alienation deepened. In 1961, at the age of 16, he left home to join the British Army, enlisting in the catering corps. The military provided structure and discipline, qualities that appealed to Dennis's meticulous nature. He thrived as a cook, earning respect for his attention to detail and dedication to his duties. However, life in the army also brought its challenges. Living in close quarters with other young men, Dennis began to grapple with feelings he didn't fully understand. He was aware of his attraction to men but felt immense shame, compounded by the societal attitudes of the time. To suppress these feelings, he immersed himself in his work and maintained a facade of normalcy. Yet, his internal struggles continued to fester. After 11 years of service, Dennis left the army and returned to civilian life. He moved to London, where he worked various jobs before securing a position as a civil servant. To his colleagues, he was polite, reserved, and hardworking. But beneath this unassuming exterior, Dennis was battling an overwhelming sense of loneliness and a growing obsession with control and domination. These feelings would soon manifest in ways that shocked the nation. It was December 30th, 1978, when Dennis Nilsen's long-suppressed urges finally boiled over. On that fateful evening, he met Stephen Holmes, a 14-year-old boy, in a London pub. Stephen, seeking warmth and companionship, was drawn to Dennis's kind demeanor and agreed to accompany him back to his flat at 195 Melrose Avenue. The night began innocently enough, with drinks and conversation. But as morning approached, Dennis became consumed by a fear of abandonment. When Stephen prepared to leave, Dennis acted on impulse. Using a necktie, he strangled the boy until he was lifeless. Overwhelmed by a mix of guilt, fear, and a macabre fascination, Dennis spent hours with the body, washing and dressing it as if to preserve its humanity. He later placed Stephen's corpse beneath the floorboards, where it remained for months. This act marked the beginning of the dark and horrifying pattern. Dennis discovered that through murder, he could exert absolute control over another person, creating a perverse sense of connection that he had long craved. Over the next 5 years, Dennis Nilsen would claim the lives of at least 12 young men. His victims were often homeless or struggling, individuals who were easy targets for his calculated kindness. Dennis would approach them in pubs or on the streets, offering a warm meal, a drink, or a place to stay. To these vulnerable men, he seemed like a savior. Little did they know, they were walking into a trap. Nilsen's method was chillingly consistent. After luring his victims to his flat, he would wait until they were in a vulnerable state, often asleep or intoxicated. Then, he would strangle them, sometimes using ligatures and other times with his bare hands. On occasion, he would also drown his victims in his bathtub, ensuring their complete submission. What set Nilsen apart from other killers was his treatment of the bodies. He did not see his victims merely as objects to dispose of, but as companions. He would wash and dress them, often positioning the bodies around his flat as if they were still alive. He spoke to them, shared meals with them, and even slept beside them. This grotesque ritual allowed Nilsen to maintain the illusion of control and companionship that he so desperately sought. In February 1983, complaints from tenants about clogged drains led to the unraveling of Dennis Nilsen's dark secrets. Plumbers, called to address the issue, were shocked to discover fragments of human flesh and bones. Suspecting foul play, they contacted the authorities. When police arrived at Nilsen's flat, they were met with a calm and cooperative man who readily confessed to the murders. Over the next hours, Nilsen recounted his gruesome acts in chilling detail, guiding investigators through the locations of the remains and describing his methods with an unsettling detachment. Dennis Nilsen's trial began in October 1983, captivating the nation with its shocking revelations. Prosecutors painted a picture of a calculating killer who preyed on the vulnerable, while his defense argued diminished responsibility due to mental health issues. The jury, however, was unmoved by the claims of mental illness. After weeks of testimony and deliberation, Nilsen was convicted of 6 counts of murder and 2 of attempted murder. He was sentenced to life imprisonment, with a recommendation that he serve a minimum of 25 years. Dennis Nilsen spent the rest of his life behind bars, where he remained unrepentant and continued to dwell on his crimes. He died in 2018, leaving behind a legacy of horror and unanswered questions. What drove this seemingly ordinary man to commit such extraordinary evil? Was it the trauma of his childhood, his repressed identity, or an inherent darkness that defies explanation? Nilsen's story is a grim reminder of the monsters that can hide behind kind faces. As we reflect on his crimes, we are left with one haunting truth. Sometimes, evil wears a mask of normalcy. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that delve into the darkest corners of human history.